Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's Rodfather 916. I'm going to start backwards this time. I normally ask this at the beginning, at the end. But if you're watching me on YouTube, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe. If you're watching me on TikTok, Flickr, and Instagram, please hit the follow. And I appreciate, if you like the dialogue of what's happening here, share it with your friends. And I like comments. My skin is pretty thick, so I'd appreciate if you do that. As human beings, there are consequences sometimes for what we say and what we do. And what I've learned through the years, I'm not always successful, is to think before I speak. You've heard that before. Think before I act. Ask myself after reading the room, is what I'm going to say that really necessary? Will it upset people? I'm not perfect. You could pop up someplace and see me on television, like losing my mind. Politics is one of those things that is very sensitive, and you have to choose the audience. There are people who've known me for years who don't know my politics. I have a circle where I talk to people. Those people know my politics. Some people, based on my skin color, assume I'm a member of one party. But the reality is I'm not a member of any of the major parties. I haven't been for years. However, I have supported and actually worked for various candidates from on the Republican and the Democratic sides that I thought was adequate. But I'm not supporting the party. I'm supporting the politician, whomever he or she is. But I struggle with both parties. If you are a public figure, a celebrity of any type, if you have any type of good representation management, one thing they tell you is leave your politics at home. Leave your politics at home. It's too volatile. You can lose everything. Remember the Dixie Chicks? Some of you remember the Dixie Chicks? Disagreed with Bush's policy, W's policy. Where are they now? So most politicians, some do, but you do so at your risk. Companies, bad idea. If you work for a company, bad idea. If you're the face, if you're the CEO, COO, or just someone who comes out and represents the company. Not a good idea. Which leads me to Elon Musk. Elon Musk gave Donald Trump nearly $250 million for a seat at the table. He just didn't want to be a donor. He wanted to have input in what happens to this country. I believe Elon Musk has a much global plans, considering that he has sort of messed and interfered with other governments. Germany's not pleased. What they are pleased is the political organization that he supported there, they failed. But you have to understand, he has SpaceX, he has billions of dollars of contracts with different countries. A lot of Europeans are rescinding those contracts. But even with the United States, it seems, at least in my view, that we rely more on SpaceX and his communications than we do on NASA. And so I think he has grander plans than the United States. What he couldn't anticipate was the outrage from Americans. Americans are outraged. Doesn't matter if they're Republicans, doesn't matter if they're Democrats. They are outraged because this man wasn't elected. We can't recall him if we disagree with him. We can't vote him out of office. So we're going to his dealerships en masse, and not just the United States. It's unfortunate. Something's happening in the United States. I can't put my finger on it, but we are isolated. I think there was a major, I am sorry, a major protest in a European country where there were 800,000 people who were against the government. I didn't see it. Maybe you saw it. Because it's nice to know what's, to have a worldview, know what's happening in the world. But Elon Musk is not only disappointed, they said his feelings are hurt. This is something he didn't expect. Well, if you ran for office and you in politics, you would know. These are things you don't know. These are things you don't do. We have certain expectations. What he's doing is actually the role of Congress. Because this man, who was the initial majority stockholder at Tesla, and the largest at one point, I think he still is, got him a seat at the board, but he was not involved in day-to-day activities, day-to-day functions of Tesla. He doesn't do the books, doesn't do the budget cuts. He can decide, I'm gonna lay off all these people. But there are people who do that. This man bought Twitter. Well, he mumbled and complained about Twitter. You know, their limitations, and you know, they had fact finders and people keeping it safe and appealing. And he made all these tweets and said, you know, I would buy it and run it my way. The thing is, he wasn't really serious. But somehow the board at Twitter used their muscle, and he was forced to buy Twitter at $44 million, a sum that he offered. But it turned out he really didn't want Twitter, but he was forced to pay them. The Wall Street Journal says he overpaid this person who's slashing our budgets and coming out in clown outfits with a chainsaw, gleefully saying he's going to put all these people out of work and cut more people and the veterans, the whole 9 yards. Americans are outraged. And they are protesting at his sites in green, red states, blue states. Today, in our conservative community outside of Sacramento, suburb, Rockland, California, they're picketing. He doesn't get it. Because this is fun to him. Meals on Wheels for the elderly. Social Security he wants to privatize. This man has no real experience in this. He's a brilliant man, don't get me wrong. But he has no real experience. This is Congress. And the courts are now demanding that all of the stuff that he says is wrong, that he needs to prove it. Because how many of you knew that all these people in America, there are all these people at least under 69 years old are still getting Social Security? I didn't know anybody lived to 169. So somehow he's got to prove it. He hasn't so far. But he said all these people are getting money. There is an app. I think it's Tesla Takedown, Tesla Takeback.com. There are protests all over the world every day. His sales are down in Europe over 60%. Here in the United States, I think it's 40 to 50%. Australia down 60%. Why? Because he's sitting to the right of Trump, who's put tariffs on. Not selling in Canada. I'd like to hear what you think. If you support what's going on, yeah, I want to hear from you. Why do you support him? If you don't support him, I want to know. Let's talk. This is the Rodfather. 11 minutes. If you hung on this long, I really appreciate it. Wishing everybody love, joy, peace, and happiness, please. Maybe Shirley MacLaine's right. We'll come back. But until then, let's make the best of this life. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.